Okay, we are in the Parsha Shavua. We are in Parsha Tavo, the weekly Torah portion. And in this Parsha, just to get the overview very quickly, what we're going to first learn is the confessional we have to say once every year. After our harvest, we would have to go to Shiloh or ultimately the temple, and to bring our first fruits and to make a confession before God, really thanking Him for bringing us to Israel and for giving us the bounty, and so on and so forth. And we retell our history as to how we got to this place to begin with. That's the opening. And then we also talk about the laws, and really the focus of this parsha, though, starts on the fifth aliyah, the fourth aliyah, where we're told that we're going to have to write this Torah on 12 stones, which, if you remember from Joshua, the book of Joshua, we talked about that. In the fifth book, we learn of how we have to go to Har Gerizim and Har Eval, Mount Gerizim and Eval, to get the blessings from the curses, which is the centerpiece of this parsha. We get 11 verses, not 12, 11 verses, because Shimon is not included, because just as Shimon was, Rashi explains, just as Shimon was not blessed by Moshe because Moshe was imitating Yaakov, and Shimon also wasn't blessed there. So just as he wasn't blessed there, he won't be blessed here, but he was he was included in all 12 tribes are ultimately included in the last curses those who do not establish the words of this Torah to do them. And the biggest thing is all of the people will say Amen to all these curses. Then the sixth aliyah is extremely long, and it details all of the curses that will befall the Jewish people if we do not follow God's rule. And then the seventh aliyah talks about Moshe giving the Torah to actually learning. I want to go through that, so God, when we get to there, giving the Torah to the tribe of Levi, and ultimately the people will complain. We'll find out. Hopefully, we'll find out why. Yeah. What was your question?
How far away are the mountains from each other?
I'm sorry?
I remember asking myself, but how far away are the mountains?
Is it, well, yeah, one here. They face each other.
I know, are they like a mile apart?
I don't know that. Yeah, when you go to Israel, you'll find the mountains. You'll measure it out. Yeah, but it's a valley. You're in the valley. So one mountain here, one mountain's here. You're in the valley.
Okay.
You're facing both mountains. So the one that was where they would give the curses toward, that was a rocky crag. Hirsch says that was barren, and when the side of the blessing was a very rich green mountain. So it was an interesting juxtaposition where Hashem was giving that sort of picture of, if you don't follow it, it's going to be barren. Right. Okay, but so you'd have to, again, how big the valley is, I don't know. I have to assume it has to be a decent valley because you have 2 million people in that valley. So it can't be such a small place. Okay, so let's start it off. Like I said, that's your overview. So it says, Ki vayaki Tavo la'aretz, and it will be when you come to the land. Again, we're talking about Israel. Asher Hashem lokecha, that Hashem your God, notein lecha nachala, is giving to you as an inheritance. Remember, God, Moshe is speaking to the people right now, which is not he gave to you. He is giving to you, right? He's speaking to them right now. He's giving to you. Verishta v'yashav taba. He will cause it. You will possess it and dwell in it. Fine. So you will take from the first, this is a very important thing, from the first, not all of the first, just from the first, of the fruits of the land, that you will bring from your land, again, that Hashem your God is giving to you. You'll put it in a basket, and you will walk to the place that Hashem your God will choose to have His name dwell there. So that's why I said ultimately it's going to mean Yerushalayim. Ultimately it's going to mean the temple. But at this point it could mean Shiloh. or it could mean the Mishkan. Again, it's where Hashem chooses to let His name dwell. So that can be a multiple places. Okay. Then it continues further. We have Uvate el Kohen. You will come to the Kohen. That is in those days. And you say to him, today I am telling to Hashem, your God, Kivati el arts, that I came to this land, to the land. Shinishba Hashem Novtenu, that Hashem swore to our forefathers Latet Lanu, to give to us. So Rashi says, Higati Hayom, what does it mean? A couple of things. Rashi says, what does it mean that you're going to come to the Kohen that is in those days? What other Kohen are you going to come to? The Kohen that's in the previous days. Okay, so Rashi says on that Ein Lecha Ela Kohen Shebimecha Kemo Shehu. It's the only one that is a Kohen in those days is that guy. In other words, you don't pick your Kohen. So V'marti Elav She'encha Kefoi Tova, because when you're saying this to the Kohen, ultimately he's God's servant. So you this way you're not denying the good, right? It's very important to thank God. So you got Yom Pa'amacha Pashana V'lo Shtei Pa'amayim, and you say it to God once a year. In other words, what happens? You have a couple of crops, right? So the first crop, you get the fruit and you take it, and you go to Eretz Yisrael, you put in a basket, you go to Eretz Yisrael. You go to Yerushalayim or wherever you're going, and you bring it to the Kohen, and you say, today, I want to give this a confession. And then the next month, you have another new fruit. Do you have to bring it back? No, the answer is no. Once a year, that's all you have to do this. Okay? That's why it's Hayom. He got to Hayom. I'll tell you today. And so then what happens? That was Gimel Dalet. Lakacha Kohen hatem yadecha. So the Kohen will take the basket from your hand, v'hinicho, and place it lifnei mizbach Hashem lakecha, before the altar of Hashem, your God. And what's going here? Why is he taking it from your hand? So Rashi says to wave it. That's why he's doing it. And so what happens? What's the procedure? So the Kohen will put his hand under the hand of the owners and wave it. So you're holding it, right? And so the Kohen puts his hand under it and you'll wave it. There's a reason for the waving, back and forth, this way, that way, up and down, is all to stop the bad winds, bad dew, and so on and so forth. It's part of that procedure. Okay. And then what happens? Ve'anita Marta, you will answer and you will say, which now Rashi says, what does it need to mean you will answer? It really is Lashon Haramat Kol. You will raise your voice, in other words. You're going to publicly pronounce this, publicly proclaim what this. It's not good enough to whisper. Like when you daven, we whisper, right? Nobody should hear us. Here, Ve'amarta, Ve'anita Ve'amarta, you will announce it and you will say, and this is a very strange pasuk. Where is it? Oh, Lifnei Hashem Lakech, before Hashem your God. Arami Oved Avi. And Aramean is, it's interesting. What does Oved mean? Oved is in present tense, right? It's not past tense. It's not future tense. It's what today we would call present tense, or the, what do they call it? Participle. Okay? So really it is destroying my father. Now they translate as an Aramean tried to destroy my father. But it doesn't say tried. Oved is destroyed. Okay? Vayered Mitzrayim, and he went down to Mitzrayim. Vayar Garsham bimtei ma'at, and he dwelt there in small number. Vayihi Sham, and while they were there, the Goy Gadol Atzum Varav, they grew into a great and powerful nation. So Rashi says, who is this Aramean that we're talking about? First of all, he says, we're mentioning the kindness of Hashem. Arami Oved Avi, this Aramean tried to destroy my father. Who was it? Lavan. Bikesh La'akor Kol. Lavan, the father-in-law, the uncle Yaakov tried to, when he was chasing him, tried to kill him. Right, that was why he was going after him. And then so if he tried, he went, but did he do it? No. Right. So that's why it says he destroyed. So Rashi says uvishvil shechashav lasot, and since he considered or thought to do it, chashav lo makom ki'ilu asa. Hashem considered it as if he did do it. That's why the pasuk says he destroyed my father. Umo da olam choshev alahem kadosh baruch hu machshava ra'ah k'maaseh. And from this we learn that when it comes to non-Jewish nations, when they think something bad, in other words, they want to do something bad, Hashem considers it as if they did it, because that is the natural disposition of the non-Jew. Remember, he's going against God. We're talking about, by the way, let me clear this up. We're talking about idolaters. Okay? When we're talking about idolaters, they are in direct contradiction to God, and saying God doesn't exist. Atheists would fall into this category. Whoever denies the existence of God is going to fall into this category. So when they think something bad, Hashem says, okay, you want to be the big boy on campus? Guess what? I'm going to consider it as if you did it. Unlike the Jewish people, when we think of doing something bad, Hashem doesn't consider it until we actually do it. On the other hand, when we consider to do a mitzvah, even if we can't accomplish it, the Gemara says, Hashem considers it as if we did it. Why? Because our natural disposition as Jews is to want to do mitzvot, to want to follow Hashem. So Hashem is looking at the natural, if you will, the natural disposition of the person. And once we decide what that is, so that is how Hashem will judge the act for good or for bad. So if I have a Jew who is a Rasha, so then his disposition seemingly is to do bad. So when he has a mind to do bad, Hashem would consider that mistama as a negative. Okay? If you want to be logical about that. I mean, again, I'm not playing God here, so I really can't say what God would do and what he wouldn't, but this is what the Sifri seems to be implying. Okay, so what happens? Then it says, Vayed Mishraima, V'yodacherim ba'u chaloteno. And he says, further, others also came to destroy us. Remember, we went to Mitzrayim, and then what happened? They decided that they wanted to put us into slavery after a while. After this, Yaakov went down to Mitzrayim, Bimtema'at, with a small amount of people, Shivim Nefesh. He went down with 70 people, and he came up with how many? Approximately, how many people? 3 million, probably 2 to 3 million. Okay, so that's a lot of people in 210 years.
But in all of the time that they were there, it was like 8 million, right?
What?
In all the time that they were there, it was like 8. The people died in the plague of darkness. Some of the Jews, most of the Jews.
Yeah, so you had 80%.
Right.
According to it, right? So you had 10 million.
About 10 million, right?
Right. So okay, so imagine that explosion of people, but in only 210 years.
Right, but the 3 million isn't the well, it was the surviving population, but the full strength population went from 70 to 10 million, then down to 3 million.
Right.
But 3 million is still more than 70.
Still a good amount.
But no, sorry, more than 70 people.
Correct. It's abnormal population growth.
Right.
That's clearly what's going on. Okay, so now we go on Vayereu Torah Mitzrayim, and the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians were bad to us, V'yanunu, and they tortured us. So what goes on there? They were bad to us, and that they enslaved us, tortured us, as in they killed our firstborn. Vayidnu aleinu avodah kasha, and they put upon us hard work. V'nitzak el Hashem, and we cried out to Hashem. Elokei avotenu, the God of our fathers. Vayishma Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem heard our voice. Mind you, it's only because we cried. This is a very important thing. It wasn't that Hashem saw that we were being subjugated and therefore said, "Oh, my poor children, I have to do it." We had to call out to Hashem. V'nitzak, it wasn't simply. It doesn't say v'nitpalel. It doesn't say a lot of other words. There's 10 terms for prayer. This says v'nitzak. We cried. It's very important words here. The Torah was very specific on the word. We cried to Hashem. And Vayishma Hashem Elokeinu, and Hashem heard our voice. And then Vayardanyenu, we saw our afflictions, V'etamalenu, our hard work, V'elachasenu, and our oppression. He saw it all. Okay, what happens? V'yosienu Hashem Yisrael. Hashem took us out from Mitzrayim, Biyad Chazakah, with a strong hand, with outstretched arm, with Morah Gadol, with awesome greatness, V'otod Movtim, and with signs and wonders. So we're really giving Hashem the the props here. It's the easiest way to say it. We're giving him props. So what happens? And he brought us to this place. And he gave us this land. And so Rashi says, what does that mean? It means what it sounds like. He gave us the land, like it's implied. The land that we're now in. Eretz Zavat Chalav Udavash, a land flowing with milk and honey. V'yata, and now. Now I'm bringing the first of the fruits of the land. Hashem, that Hashem gave to me. And now he places it before Hashem God. And you will bow down. And before that's the end of the speech, by the way. Now we're coming down to the directions again, and you will bow down before Hashem your God. And finally, you will rejoice in all the good Hashem that Hashem has given to you. Hashem your God has given to you, to your household, the Levian, and the proselyte, that is in your midst. So that's really what's going on here. You're going, and it says, Rashi says, what does it mean? V'samachta, what you should be happy with all the good. Mikan amru ein koren b'mikra b'korm el b'zman shesimcha mesev yachak. From here we learn a simple rule that if it's not between the what do you call it? Sukkot to Shmini Atzeret, if that's the only time you can make this announcement. If it's any other time, you cannot do it. What you do is you simply collect all your produce and you bring it, but you don't read anything. You don't announce anything because you didn't do it in the proper time. Poor guy's asleep. Okay. Okay. Here's my voice. It lulls him. But that's really, again, that's what's going on here. We have to always thank Hashem for the good, and we're recognizing all the way through that yes, we may have dug the holes, we may have plowed the fields, we can do all that, but bottom line is our success is from Hashem, and that's the biggest announcement. And this is a very hard thing for people to continually do. Because when you keep recognizing it's from Hashem, it's from Hashem, it's from Hashem, yeah, sure, I could say I can now sit down and learn Torah all day, but that's not what Hashem wants from us either. Hashem wants for us to do our work. Hashem wants for us to make those endeavors. And it's only through that hard work that we appreciate what it is. I mean, again, today, thank God, in 2017, we can go to a store and we can get fruits or corn all year round. Because summer is being grown, unlike in the old days, where only 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have such a world market. And then you couldn't get certain, if it was out of season, it was out of season. Now nothing's out of season. Now the whole world's in season. But it wasn't like that. And anybody who's ever had I think, you ever made a garden when you were young? Okay, so everybody here has made a garden. You guys have to continue my gardens. Okay, but to plow the land. Now, when I had to make a garden, see, I wasn't as lucky as you guys. You have the real machines. We had to get a pitchfork and flip the dirt over because I was making a small garden. We didn't have rototillers, and so then you do that. You have to make the rows. You have to plant the seed. You have to water it, and you have to pray to God that you did everything right. And then as it grows, you have to still, get the weeds out of the way. It's a long, arduous process just for a couple of tomatoes. The only thing that grew, really, besides the weeds, the only thing that grew well is cucumbers. There, cucumbers, they produce a lot. Tomatoes, not that much, and certainly not corn. What are you getting on a...
Did you try corn?
I did.
Yeah.
I tried everything.
What is it, 2 ears on one stalk, something like that?
2 to 3.
Yeah, it's not much. And then we tried like I was a kid. So in those days, you did those things. I remember the garden. It was you had to work hard to make the garden was all maybe 4x4. I don't think I did more than that.
Yeah.
It was a hard thing to dig up the land, and you don't even think about it. But you read the books and the books talking about farming. So you tried. Okay, fine. But anybody who's really gone through it really appreciates what these farmers here have to go through. I remember when I first came to Indiana, when I was driving up the highway from Massachusetts to here, and I saw these big watering things. How they water everything.
Yeah.
It was so mind blowing to me that I said, "Oh, that's how they do this," because I never thought about it. But that's a lot of water you have to throw out there. And again, all that, and I don't know how farmers make money. I don't know. I mean, how much is 4 ears for 25 cents for $1, 25 cents? I don't know where the money's coming from. It doesn't make sense how they can make money. What?
Subsidies, government subsidies.
Okay, but even still, it doesn't make sense how you're making so much money. I mean, they can't be rich from that. So you have to wonder why you wouldn't go into something else. But again, farming is an industry, and it's just an amazing. Like I said, I have tremendous respect for them that they can do that and to make money. Like I said, I wouldn't want to do it. It's a lot of backbreaking work. But anybody who just buys food in the stores doesn't appreciate that. They'll just look, why isn't it here? Why isn't it here? Yeah. They don't have the appreciation. So that's what the Torah is saying to the farmer, saying to everybody, look, you're bringing the food, you're making an announcement. It's not koach atzmi, it's not your power that did this. Yes, you had to use your power, but ultimately it was Hashem. Okay? And that's the important part of what you're getting from this parsha. Okay, let's go on. And let's just deal with, again, I already talked about the Har Gerizim, but I want to go to some of the curses here. And that is, like I said, 11 curses that were delineated, one for each tribe except for what do you call it? Shimon. The interesting is, and my father, when I was learning my father many years ago, so we learned his parsha, and he asked a fascinating question. Let's just look at it. It's on page 1072. It's chapter 27. It starts with verse 11. It's talking about how to set the people up. It says, "Vayitzav Moshe ha'am v'yomahu lemor," and Moshe commanded the people on that day, saying, "Eli yamdu leparecha ha'am al Har Gerizim." These are the people that will stand or the tribes that will stand to bless the people on Har Gerizim, Mount Gerizim. So Mount Gerizim is the one that has the greenery. Ba'avrichem and Herdaim, when you cross over the Jordan. Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Binyamin. So you have Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Binyamin. And these are the ones who are going to stand on the mountain they get on the side that gets cursed. And who are they? Har Eva, which was again the barren mountain. Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zevulun, Dan, and Naphtali. V'yanu al Leviim, so the Leviim would make the announcement about the curses. V'amru el kol ish Yisrael v'kol ram, and they will say to all the people, saying in a loud voice. Now my father asked an interesting question. We have just from these two psukim, three. He said it's a well-known deal that Yisachar and Zevulun were partners. Yisachar would learn Torah, and Zevulun would go out to work, right? Zevulun the deal was, Zevulun would work, support Yisachar, and in return for that, their learning would be split with Zevulun. So that was a business partnership, okay? That's what we still have today in the Kollel system, where we have these Zevulans, they're the Gevirim, the rich people, or the people who are supporting the system, although they're supporting it, and the other people who are learning all day. Each one has a job, and it's not a job to be taken lightly. And those people who do take it lightly are mistaken on both sides. If you're learning in kollel, or you're being supported to learn, that means just like I have to be in my job from 9 to 5, if you will, so also the person learning has to be steady, 9 to 5. You can't say, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. No. I mean, there are excuses for everything, but really, you're at work. And if you're not at work, then you're cheating your partner, not your employer, but your partner, okay? So that's the important thing, because, so my father said, wait a second, if Yisachar and Zevulun are partners, why are they on different sides of the mountain? Why is Yisachar on the blessing side and Zevulun on the cursing side? Remember, Zevulun's one that makes money. If anything, Zevulun should be on the blessing side, because the more he's blessed, the more Yisachar is supported. Okay, I want my God. Yeah, so what do you want to say?
Someone who's studying Torah all day long will forget the commandments, or someone who's going out doing the work and not studying the Torah is more likely to forget the commandments.
So you're saying it's a matter of forgetting. So the guy
has the curses above him.
So he has to have a bigger reminder, you're saying. The guy who's going out to work has to have a bigger reminder than the guy who's learning the Torah, because he constantly is involved in it. Good. It's one of the classical reasons that would be given. Okay? Good. Very good. So the other thing is, but still, my father was just concerned that they were split up. They should have been together. So I always like my father's question. The answer is certainly would fall into what you're saying, but sometimes I think that that's not a great answer either, because like I said, I'm saying you're right with what you're saying, but I don't like it as much, because I think the guy who works needs a bracha sometimes much more than the one who is learning, because the one who's learning is, because he's protected by the learning, can fight off the curse. Right? He's not going to be led down the wrong path. But it could be that the Zevulans of the world need these much starker warnings. Okay, so here they are. Curses the man who will make an idol or a molten image. It's a to'evat Hashem. It's despicable to Hashem. Masi yedei charash, or some satir, the work of a man, the work of the hand of a carpenter, a craftsman's work that is in the secret. Okay, that's also interesting. In secret, he's doing this. So it's in other words, you shouldn't do it certainly in public either. But if you're doing it secretly, that's also bad. And so all the nation answers to Amen. Second one, Aror makle avivi imo. Cursed is the one who curses his father and his mother. And and Rashi says, what does it mean curse? Denigrates. If you denigrate your father and your mother, not literally curse, but denigrate, that you'll be cursed for that. And again, the whole nation says, Amen. Aromasig gavul. Cursed is the one who moves the boundary of his friend. Here you are, you're living in your property. He has his property. And what do? You don't like the property line. So you decide you're going to move the property line. And you move it. First of all, you've transgressed the law of do not steal. The second thing you've done, and that's why it's outlined here, only in the land of Israel, by the way. In the land of Israel, you have two commandments you've broken. One is do not steal, which would apply anywhere. And the other one is that you move the borders of your friend. That's a separate thing. Why was that so important? Who's the one who decided where the borders would be? God. And so if God, through the lottery system, if you're going to say, oh, God made a mistake here, now you're denying God. So you made a chilul Hashem. And that is no good. Okay, so then it says, Aror majge'i ve'bedarech. Cursed is the one who causes the blind person to go astray on the road. And here we're not just talking about a blind person, which is certainly there, but also if you give bad advice to somebody, if you purposely give bad advice, not if somebody does something by accident, but if you know, if somebody asks you a question, they're trusting you, and you knowingly mislead them, then this commandment is against you.
Yeah, that's the same as where you state otherwise, but it's stumbling block and
correct.
blind. It's not only just literally a blind person.
Correct. If you give the wrong advice.
Although it does apply.
Say again?
Although it does apply to that.
Yeah, the simple understanding of it, yes. So, Ara Mate Mishpagir Yatom Yamana. Of course, is the one who how do they say that? Who corrupts, I guess. Perverts, right. Perverts the justice of the proselyte, the orphan, and the widow. Why those three? Because they are the weaker of the group. Vulnerable people. V'yamar kol ha'am, amen. Arosho chevim eshed aviv. Cursed is the one who lies with the wife of his father. Ki gila cannot be aviv, because he has revealed or uncovered the robe of his father. V'yamar kol ha'am, amen. And all the nation says amen. Now you may say, why would I want to sleep with my mommy? Well, it doesn't have to be your mother. It could be your mother, but it doesn't have to be that. It could also be his new wife. He gets a nice little hottie, and so you may say, oh, I like her, blah, blah, blah. You can't do that. Also, by the way, she's home. You're constantly around her, which is why Torah had to outlaw you can't be with your sister, you can't be with your aunt. They were all, according to the Ramban, they were all there. I think the Ramban says that. They were all there, and therefore they were easily accessible to you. So the Torah had to give a decree against it, not because of genetics, just because it's not proper to do it. Yes?
My question was, why call your father's wife, not just your mother? Because he could not be
may not be a mother.
Might not be a biological mother.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was going to say she may not be your mother at all, but
Hebrew mother is for a biological mother. There's no word for.
So yeah.
The Hebrew mother, ima, is for biological mother. There's no word for, except for your father's wife. I don't think.
You're saying a stepmother?
Is there a word for stepmother?
I don't. No.
Right.
I don't think there is. You would call her Eshet Aviv. I mean, Eshet Av. That would be she's a wife. Yeah. So, but you could have a lot of. We didn't have that concept of stepmother. I mean, mothers would take care of you. Like when you have multiple mothers, in other words, the husband has multiple wives. So you're growing up like that. Like in the Mormons, when they can do it, they have multiple mothers. So I mean, I guess everybody brings the kids up, but in whatever the case is, you can't have relations with your mom or your stepmother or any one of your relatives. Okay. Cursed is the one who has sexual relations with animals, and again, the nation says amen to that. So here we're getting into crazy sexual things, but people would do this because they could. They may have believed that, I'm not sure, this would be ancient belief, but I'm talking about pagan belief, but they may have believed that they could get some of the powers from the animal, or they just want to know what it was like. It could have just been sexual what's it called? Sexual fantasy,
Fetish.
but fetish.
When I was in the Air Force, I met guys who grew up in the cornfields in Iowa. They told me stories.
Okay, there you go. Oh, we don't have to go any further than that. Thank you.
I'm telling you.
Cursed is the one who goes to have sexual relations with the sister of his the daughter of his father. So with the sister, the daughter of his father or the daughter of his mother. So either it's the stepsister, either it's his real sister or his stepsister. Again, you may say, if it's the mother, let's look at this. If it's the father had a wife, and the father, and that between them they got you, okay, they got Reuven. Then your father married somebody else who had a daughter. Already. Okay. So that daughter is nowhere genetically connected to you. You may think, since she's and she's living in a home. What a great thing! I get to see the girl, get to go on dates, and get to water with her, and I can get married to her. No, she's your sister. You cannot have her. Period. Okay, so that's even though genetically, that's my point. The Torah doesn't care about genetics. When we're looking at all these things, all these arayot, there's nothing to do with genetics that we would say, I understand it. No. there's no genetics here. So once there's no genetics, you can't bring up that sort of rationale. But what you can say is, it's and that's why you say it's a decree of God. That's that we can't do that. Okay. So Aro Shechev Im Chotato, again, curses one who has sexual relations with his daughter-in-law. Chotato is the daughter-in-law. It should be daughter-in-law. Why do they say the mother-in-law? That's interesting. Chotanto is they're saying the mother-in-law. I guess that's how you would say it then. I never would have said chotato is I thought, okay, his chasen. So there you go. Going to Art Scroll, chotanto is how you would say mother-in-law. So you can, okay, fine. And then Aramake Re'ehu Basatir curses one who hits his friend in secret. What does that mean? That means Lashon Hara. Rashi says, Al Lashon Hara hu Omer, we're talking about Lashon Hara. And that's, then he says, like I said, that 11 curses, not including, why did he go 12 curses? Because Shimon wasn't included. Fine. And then finally, the last, the other one is Ruah Lokech Shochad, curses the one who takes a bribe, Lahakod Nefesh Damnaki, to kill an innocent person. And now the final one. Yeah.
Why wasn't Shimon included?
Because Shimon was not blessed by Moshe, and as he wasn't, as Yaakov didn't bless him because of the sin of for Yaakov, because of the sin of Dinah, of Shechem, and Levi. He cursed Levi and Shimon. Really, he said he cursed Israel anger. And so Moshe didn't want to override his bracha. Levi was already Levi by his children, so he's not going to do anything with them. And but the Shimon wasn't part of that. So and also Shimon was involved in Moab, right? Because of what's his name?
The prince of
Zimri.
Right. So Shimon wasn't blessed, but he was cursed.
No, he wasn't. He was neither cursed nor blessed.
Okay, he just left that.
Right. So here, the last one is a very interesting curse. It says, Aror Ashelo Yakim et Divrei Torah. Cursed is the one that will not fulfill the words of this Torah, la'asolatam, to do them. Amen. And the whole nation said, Amen. So how does he say this? Who will uphold the words of the Torah? Listen to what Rashi says. He says, Kan klal et akola Torah kula. Here, they, everybody, it includes all of the Torah. V'kiblu aleihem ba'ala ushva, and they accepted upon themselves the Torah with the curses and with the oaths. Okay, and then it also says, where is it? I saw something else here. Why can't I find it? What it also comes to say for this, I wonder where it is. Or maybe it's this one. The Ramban. Yeah. So the Ramban says, that's what it is. If you look at note 26, the Ramban explains that this to mean that every Jew must accept the Torah's validity in full and dare not claim that even one of its commandments is not relevant. However, this curse is not imposed upon any Jew who commits a sin. Only on one who denies that a part of the Torah is God-given or relevant. You understand? That's in 26. The Ramban says a very important thing here. He said, it's not a matter of if I sin and therefore I'm going to be cursed. People sin. Ein adam chait. There's no person in the world who didn't sin. Everybody, Moshe Rabbeinu sinned. You have 4 people that we say did not sin. Fine. But for the most part, no, everybody else sins. They do something wrong. So if that's the case, what are you going to say? That they should be cursed? But he says no, because the word says Asher lo yakim. You did not establish, you did not maintain it. So the Ramban is learning from that it means you didn't accept the validity, the total validity of the Torah. In other words, if I look at the Torah and I say, well, this I agree with, but this I don't, well, who are you to do that? You can't do that. You've denied. Remember, who wrote the Torah? God. God dictated the Torah to Moshe, said, write this down, period. And to argue that the law no longer applies, well, that's also foolish, because you're saying that God gave a limited time Torah, and it's supposed to be an eternal Torah. So whether or not I agree with what the Torah says, kill the Amalekites, you can't have homosexual relations, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of what society says, I can't say it doesn't exist. I have to say it's the Torah. And even though science may say one thing about this and one thing about that, still no, I have to defer to the Torah. And I can't say it's not relevant. I can't say it's not timely. And that's what the Ramban is saying. So the Ramban cites approvingly a view in the Jerusalem Talmud that this curse applies to anyone who can influence others to be loyal to Torah but does not care to do so, especially people in positions of authority who have the power to mold the behavior of others. Even someone who studies the Torah and is rigorously observant but is unconcerned about the shortcoming of others, even though he can help them, and that's the big thing, even though he can help them, is included in this curse, according to the Rishonim. So the verse also implies the obligation upon every individual to support Torah study, each according to his ability. Again, who should write the check out to? Midwest Torah, that's right. Make them big. Okay, Chafetz Chaim once told ruefully of a wealthy man who gave a relatively small contribution and justified himself by saying that he had contributed to many institutions and individuals. The Chafetz Chaim surprised him by asking him to make an accounting of his charities and household expenditures. It turned out that in the space of a year he had spent twice as much on draperies as he had given for Torah education. So you can tell me all you want about how much you spent, but when you come down to it, let's put on the table. What did you spend? Okay? For those who spend a lot, God bless you, and so on and so forth. But though that's really what the curses are doing. Okay, and we'll have to stop here. I didn't get to what I wanted to. The last one, maybe next year.